Goeienaand, dit is Dinsdag aand en ons kuier op Four Anglers Live. Baie welkom hier by ons op dieselfde tyd en selfde plek elke Dinsdag aand. En ons sê vir julle dankie dat julle kuier. Baie dankie aan Orion Audiovisual wat ons vennote is wat sorg dat die studio op spek is en natuurlik Gys Spitzer Motors wat die hoofborg van hierdie program is, as ook ons wiele sodat ons by die viswaters kan uitkom, sodat ons vir jou kan vertel wat daar aangaan. We've got a very special program tonight, and I would like to welcome an old colleague. It feels like the old days. Duncan is almost back in his office where he used to be just next door to the studio. Duncan Murfin, welcome. Almost say welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back.
So we are going to chat to Duncan. He is the most knowledgeable person I know with respect to bassing, and we're going to chat about some bassing adventures that's coming up. Ons gaan julle 'n bietjie vertel van 'n interessante kompetisie en natuurlik gaan Duncan vir ons vertel wat om te doen om daardie tipe kompetisie te teiken. Hy gaan lekker met ons gesels. Dis ook 'n lekker intreevlak geselsie oor spesifieke metodes om bass te hengel. Nou ons ouens wat daarvan hou om so nou en dan 'n lang lyntjie te gooi vir 'n spesiekarp, kan ek maar intrek en luister oor hoe teiken jy bass terwyl jy jou langlyne in het en wag vir daardie grootte. Something else that is important, and there's an invite that went out today. You would have seen, julle sou gesien het vir Rian Alleman, een van ons malste contributors in hierdie span, het vandag vir julle 'n lekker challenge uitgesit. Ons wil hê, jy moet vir ons video stuur. Dit kan enigiets wees. Dit kan net hengel wees, dit kan 'n instruksie wees, dit kan 'n top tip wees, dit kan 'n mal video wees, dit kan 'n blabs wees, dit kan enigiets snaaks wees. Ons wil hê, jy moet hom vir ons stuur. Ons plaas hom op ons Facebook bladsy en natuurlik, ons maak jou famous. Julle weet natuurlik wat volg daarop. Iewerster sal daar 'n paar pryse weggegee word vir interessante goeie video's. So please let those videos come in, send them, don't send them by WhatsApp or anything, send the original by WeTransfer and send the link to video@fouranglers.co.za, and let's see what's happening out there next to the waters. Dan wat gee ons weg? Ons gee 'n paar interessante goed weg. Die eerste een is, ons sien hier staan 'n lekker pakkie. So kan kyk. So groen pakkie hier agter, hierso het ons nog eene. Daar's so 'n interessante hampertjie. Ons gaan nou praat met Chris Boylan van Bowline en hy gaan 'n bietjie met ons gesels oor die verskillende graderings en die verskillende tipe voere wat hy het en wanneer gebruik jy wat. So dan gee ons 'n paar van hierdie weg. Duncan, you also giving some toys away tonight. Something interesting, you're giving a combo away. What is that in short?
So we've got probably one of the best all-round spinning combos if you're going bassing is the Dark Shadow. It's a 7-foot medium heavy two-piece, so it's great to stick it in the car as well or in the boot. And then we've got a hamper of McCarthy soft baits with 2 of our new additions, which is some new frogs that guys can look forward to.
Okay, so you have it. Now you know the rules. You have to watch out, listen very carefully, because we're going to give you an interesting question or two at the end of each section. You have to answer that correctly. Please remember, the guys who have won in the last 4 weeks, you don't qualify to win again. So it's okay if you want to answer the question and show everybody that you know what the answer is. But Jessica has the list of the winners of the last 4 weeks, and when your name comes up in the top 10 and you have won in the last 4 weeks, she's just going to take you out. So maak seker dat jy gee die ander ouens ook 'n kans. Die eerste kompetisie wat ons het op die Bowline, nadat Chris met ons gesels het, is op YouTube en op Facebook. Daar gaan een hamper weggegee word van elkeen. So, antwoord die vraag, en die eerste 10 ouens wat reg geantwoord het, se name kom in die wiel, en julle name word dan getrek. 10 uit Facebook en 10 uit YouTube uit. Okay, so dis die volgende ding wat gaan gebeur. And those hampers as well. While Duncan will be telling us a lot about that, we're also going to chat to one of the organizers of an extraordinary competition. Duncan was actually part of that for some years back. He covered the event down in New Hanover.
Yeah.
It's their prep school has got a fundraiser down in KwaZulu, and they are having the biggest bass competition from a competitor point of view. More than 1,000 competitors every year. Now we're going to chat to Stoff van Breda, and he will tell us a lot more about that interesting competition. And Duncan's going to enlighten us of how to go about to actually go and target those bass in the farm dams. There are 20 farm dams that is part of that competition. It's a roaming type competition. And I think that is about it on the program for tonight. So first things first, let's go and chat to Chris Boylan from Boylan Kolletjie. En ons hoor wat sê hy met betrekking tot sy verskillende graderings van voer. Ons het by hom gaan kuier in sy warehouse waar hulle die voer verpak en natuurlik versprei. Kom ons hoor wat sê Chris.
Nou ek het nou al baie plekke gesit. In die studio, op stoele, langs die viswaters, op klippe, alles. Ek het nog nooit 'n program aangebied of 'n insetsel gedoen terwyl ek op 'n klomp mielies sit nie. As kind het ek op 'n hoop mielies gesit, maar nie op 'n hele hoop voer nie. Nou ons sit hier by Boylan saam met Chris Boylan en ek is hier in sy, is dit jou warehouse, is dit jou pakhuis, wat noem jy die plek?
Ja, dis my verpakkingsaanleg en waar die distribusie vanaf gedoen word.
Wel, hierso is voer, rou materiale, gepakte voer, die hele werke in sulke hoope. Nou, ons wil 'n bietjie met Chris gesels vandag oor 'n paar van sy produkte en wat is sy produkte en wat is die verskil. So nou, behalwe die verskil, ek sien daar's nou so 'n bietjie 'n verskil in die verpakking. So jy het so 'n bietjie aan jou verpakking verander, maar al wat ek kan sien is dat dit die grootte bietjie is dit reg? Chris, wat het gebeur in die verpakking?
Omdat die sakkies in die verlede so 'n bietjie langer was vir die produk, omdat die produk in die begin 'n bietjie meer puffy was, het ek besluit om hom so klein bietjie korter te maak en ook so vir die mense, vir my kliënte bietjie meer rakspasie te gee en dit vertoon ook 'n bietjie beter op sy rak.
Okay, so hy's nou so 'n bietjie korter.
Yes,
En hy's nou eintlik lekker mooi. Hy het nie meer so baie spasie ook.
nee, so ja, dit werk vir my nogal. En van die feedback wat ek gekry het, is die mense my kliënte is baie tevrede en sê ja, dit moes eintlik al lank al gebeur.
Okay, great. Maar verder het jy 3 verskillende produkte. Hierso is ene wat niks op sê nie. Al wat hierso sê is, once you've tried us, you will be caught, en dan is hier 'n prentjie van 'n hook, lyn en 'n sinker. So you'll be caught, hook, line en sinker. So in hierdie groenpak, wat is hierdie ene wat niks op staan nie?
Dit is die gewone grondvoer soos ons dit ken. Daar is dit is net mielies gepop en dan die nodige mengwerk gedoen. En
Kan ek hom oopmaak?
jy kan hom oopmaak. Hy is die standaard soos wat al die hengelaars aan hom wat hom ken. So daar's niks snaaks aan hom nie. Dis die gewone grondvoer en hy is
Okay, so hy het nou, wat is nou alles hier in terme van wat die hengelaar moet van weet? As ek as hengelaar nou die pak oopmaak. Ek kan nou sien hier soos 'n bietjie popcorn in en so voort. So, vertel my 'n bietjie van sy struktuur en so, sy tekstuur eerder en wat hier binne-in is.
Daar's net mielies daar binne. Die belangrikheid en die reuk wat jy nou sou ruik is uniek aan Boulyn en dit kan in sy lewe nooit gekopie word nie. Die tekstuur het ek 'n bietjie fyner gemaak vir verskillende redes.
Ek onthou in die begin was hy so 'n bietjie grower. Hy het nie baie growwigheid nie.
Dis reg. Die redes daarvoor is baie van die manne, ek vra vir die ouens vir die manne wat is vir julle belangrik. Toe sê hulle met al die geelvis in die ronde sal hulle ons bietjie fyner verkies want die popgedeelte wat dan opkom as die voerbol op die grond lê, dit lok baie meer geelvis as wanneer hy net daar sou lê. En ek het dit toe so gaan doen en ek het getoets en dit is fantasties. En dit het ook die reuk van die unieke reuk van Bouwlyn het dit meer uitgebring. So jy kan dit nou aanmaak en self.
In terme van grovigheid, as ek bietjie iets grower wil hê of groter vis wil teiken of so, wat maak ek?
Ek kan vir jou voorbeelde noem van hengelaars en foto's wys wat onlangs gevang het. Hulle het dieselfde saaivisvis gevang by Bloemhof by die dames wat ek sponsor. Hulle het dieselfde saaivisvis gevang as die ouens wat goed by eet. Daar's mense wat koelpitte by eet, daar's mense wat mieliereis by eet, daar's mense wat crash by eet. Ek eet niks nie en ek het nog nooit nie. En daai top hengelaars waarvan ek praat van die dames nou by die SA's is die bewys daarvan. Jy het nie nodig om iets te eet nie.
Okay,
Alles wat daarin is
net fyner.
Dis net fyner en dis vir enige saaivisvis, van marries tot groot karp.
Okay, maar as ek nou byvoorbeeld 'n mix wil maak, 'n bietjie spesie hengel en swaan, dan is dit okay om om bietjie die grove
jy kan
goed by te
kan
sit.
dit wees reg, ja.
Okay, so dan kom die volgende kategorie, so hy's nou al reeds 'n bietjie fyner daar. Dan is hier ene wat jy noem feeder. Wat maak feeder anders?
Feeder is nog fyner,
So is dit presies dieselfde ingredients of is hier iets anders daarbey?
selfde ingredients, net nog 2 grade fyner. Ons noem
As jy praat van 2 grade, wat
Ons
bedoel
praat
jy?
van 2 sizes, ekskuus,
Ja.
kleiner. Die behoefte wat ontstaan het by die mense oor die feeder is, hoe fyner die ding is, hoe meer water absorbeer hy. So as jy feeder nou eet by die gewone een, en jy gooi 'n halwe koppie meer water by die normale 2-op-1, en jy sit 'n halwe koppie meer water in, absorbeer hy meer water, so jou bol is swaarder, en dan hoef jy nie noodwendig 'n groter gewig op te sit om daai bietjie ekstra afstand te kry,
Kan hy
want die
nie-
bol doen dit van self.
Okay, want hy's nou swaarder.
Dis reg.
Ja, ek byvoorbeeld as ek dit gebruik ek 2 van daai en 1 van die as 'n mens sal. Okay, maar verbeel ek my of is hy hoekom lyk hy bietjie geeler of verbeel ek my nie?
Dit alles hang af van waar jy jou geel mielies koop. Party onthou as jy in die Vrystaat koop is die mielies is nie dieselfde kleur as die in Noordwes nie. So as jy nie geel mielies kan kry by jou gereelde supplier nie en jy moet elders aan koop, is sy mielies 'n ander kultivar.
Okay.
So die kultivar bepaal die geel. Party is geeler as ander, so afhangende van watter
Okay, dis nie omdat hy fyner is dat hy geeler is.
Nee.
Okay. Goed. So dis nou feeder. Dan het jy iets hierso wat jy noem match.
Yes.
Nou hy voel vir my soos custardpoeier. Want kyk hoe lyk hy. Hy lyk soos custardpoeier. Hy lyk soos meel, soos koekmeel. Is dit ook 2 kg?
Ja.
Hy lyk so vol.
Ja, maar dit is baie lig. Omdat dit is maar soos custard ook. Jy kan nie dink dat custard
Ja.
so fluffy is nie.
Ja, kyk hierso. Behalwe nou die match ouens wat iets baie fyn wil hê in die winter en so voorts en geen niks het om te eet nie, net daai geur in die water. Wat is die gebruik van? Wanneer gebruik die ouens hierdie match?
Van die ouens maak kleiner batches voer as hulle in die oggende by die water kom. Hulle maak byvoorbeeld net 2 in 1, dan sal hulle 'n halwe koppie match bysit want hy droog die voer baie gou uit. Want hy gee 'n ekstra wit wolk omdat hy so wit is. En die feit dat hy klaar gaar is, dis 'n gaarproduk. Dis nie 'n rou produk nie. Gebruik baie van die hengelaars deesdae, want ek het nou hulle gevra, hoekom match, want jy doen dan nie as match hengel.
Ja.
Toe was
So die
hulle antwoord,
popgooiers gebruik matchvoer.
die popgooiers gebruik matchvoer om soos wat jy dit in 'n custard sou skit hulle dit nou net daarin.
So dan sit jy basies 'n mieliepoeier in die water.
'n Mielie, want daai reuk is nog daar van die mielie. Dit is net afkomstig van 'n wit mielie en nie van 'n geel mielie, maar hy het daai unieke reuk wat afkom en dit baie ouens druk nou deesdae, skit hulle bol in dit en nie in custard.
Nou het ek 'n probleem. In my kas het ek plek vir SA poeier, custardpoeier. Nou moet ek nou nog matchvoer ook 'n bottel hê.
Maak dit jou kas groter.
Ek hom jy's kleiner gemaak omdat ek wil minder goed in my kas het. Okay. Chris, so in terme van hierdie stoel is nie baie stabiel nie. in terme van die mengsels, is daar ooit plek vir 'n normale hengel vir verander? Wanneer hengel ek met die een, wanneer hengel ek met die ander, wanneer hengel ek met 'n kombinasie? Wat is die verander dit tussen winter en somer, of wat is jou raad vir die hengelaar?
My raad aan die hengelaar is, maak jou voer aan soos wat jy hom aanmaak, winter of somer, maak nie saak nie. Al wat ek doen as persoon, en ek het dit ontwerp die goed, en ek hengel al vir 7 jaar net met boulyn wat dit op die mark is, en ek het in die winter sal ek die voer net 'n klein bietjie sagter maak, omdat die water so koud is, en anderswoorde ek sal bietjie meer water add, en ek sal dan die twee kombineer. Ek sal meer feeder bygooi, en jy kan self die toets gaan doen. Koop vir jou feeder, maak net feeder aan, dan kyk jy die verskil in die koue water. So ek sal meer feeder in my voer sit oor die wintermaande. Maar jy kan hom ook net so hengel, moet hom net sagter maak. Dit is die geheim daar.
Wel, nou gaan ek gou vir Chris op die spot sit hierson. Op die program op For Anglers Live, kan ons oor niks praat as ons nie iets weggee nie. So gaan ons vir ons kykers iets weggee?
Ja, welkom.
Kombinasiepakke, met ander woorde 'n pak van match, feeder en gewoon.
Dis kan ja.
So 'n pakkie van dit, hoeveel van hulle? Hoeveel sulke? 5 van hulle. Okay, daar sê julle, 5 van hulle. Jy kry 3, jy kry 'n match, 'n feeder en 'n normale een. Ons verwag dat jy gaan terugvoer gee oor hoe vind jy? Gee vir ons, gaan toets dit 'n bietjie as jy dit nou gewen het, en gaan toets 'n bietjie en kyk wat se verskil, en gee terugvoer vir Chris sodat hy nog 'n beter produk kan kry. Chris, het jy in terme van jou pakke, is dit die enigste verpakking waar dit inkom, of verpak jy dit andersins ook?
Nee, kom net in hierdie groen sakkie, en is net boulyn kolletjie, en ek verpak dit in geen ander verpakking nie, en net om iets daar buite te laat uitgaan. My voer sal ek aan geen ander mens, of geen ander instansie, of geen ander viswinkel, of enige iemand gee my rouproduk om in hulle verpakking te pak en te verkoop as wat ook al nie. So wees gerus, ek sal nie my voer aan geen ander persoon of instansie.
Maar jou voer is by alle hengelwinkels beskikbaar vir enigiemand om te koop. Hulle sal altyd in die groen pak wees.
Altyd in die groen pak.
Okay, daar sê ons gaan nou 'n vraag of 2 vra, en dan kan jy wen.
Dit was nou interessant. Sit ek daar op die mielies en kuier saam met Chris. Ek het al baie interessante studio stoele gehad, maar daai was die beste. Wat julle nie gesien het nie is, hier aan die einde van die onderhoud, toe begin hy klomp goed so, met hierdie gladde sakke so onder my uitgly. Ek sit so hier op een bout. Maar nou ja, hy het vir ons 'n paar hampers gegee. Om die waarheid te sê, daar's 5. Vanaand gee ons 2 weg, en volgende week sal ons die ander weggee. So, een van hulle op Facebook, en een van hulle op YouTube, For Anglers se YouTube kanaal. Die vraag is, boulyn kolletjie het 3 verskillende tipes voere, of graderings, of grade, soos Chris dit noem. Dis nou verskillende sifgroottes. Maar elkeen is gelabel met 'n spesifieke naam. Ek wil weet, wat is daai 3 name? Hierdie ene, een van daai en een van daai. So ek wil weet, wat is daai 3 name? Eerste 10 ouens op YouTube en eerste 10 op Facebook se name gaan in die draw. Nou ja, nou gaan ons begin gesels. We are going to start chatting about bassing, and we would like to say thank you to Sensation for making this next insert available. Duncan, when last did you catch a big bass?
Hard to say this year. Probably late towards last year. Fishing's kind of been tough. Dam levels are up. There's plenty of bait around. So artificials competing with natural food is always going to come. But we figured a couple of things out recently. So hopefully we'll be sharing that with everyone.
Do you remember that night we went to Thornwood Lear? I think we stayed over there, and we caught those bass on top water.
Very much. So
that was a crazy phenomena there, how the dam switched on.
yeah, so we fished, if I can remember correctly, we fished Alberts that day. We got chased off by a big rainstorm, and we got back to the lodge at about 7 or 8, and there was a gentleman fishing in the corner, throwing a frog, and he fishes there regularly in the evening. I'm not sure if he was a resident on the property. And he said, just go grab a couple of topwater frogs and come fish in the specific corner. So it's the corner closest, if any of you are listening, it's the corner closest to I think that's where you guys host all of the events at Torwoodley. And incidentally, I think that's also where they've caught the biggest fish there. And fishing, I think it took us about half an hour to get a couple of blow-ups. It was way past midnight, actually. And then they caught the fish over 3.5 kilos, and we caught a bunch over like 2, and the whole dam came alive. Catch the first fish, and as you retrieve it, there's like 2 or 3 fish the same size jumping out the water. So
what was interesting for me is that we haven't fished in that corner in the beginning. So we fished the rest of the dam, and we walked all over, and we were probably fishing about an hour and a half, and we hadn't had a bite. There was nothing. And then the guy said in that corner. So we went there, and both of us just cast, and it was a blow up, and we caught a fish. And then suddenly, it doesn't matter where you cast that, it was just on. Yeah. It is as if that whole dam just came alive. Remember that first hit that we had a fish on, there was 2 or 3 others just jumping all over. And then the whole dam was on.
Yeah. So that's the only time I've ever seen that in my 30 plus years of bassing. It's crazy. But pretty cool venue that.
Okay, but that venue is the main hub of this interesting competition called the Neo and Nova Bass Comp, and that they are hosting on a yearly basis.
So that's probably the biggest comp that I've attended in terms of total number of anglers. And what I really enjoyed about it is it's families fishing instead of the competitive bass scene where the guys have high-powered boats. And we love those guys. And it's just a different family atmosphere as if you were growing up bass fishing. That's the kind of way you wanted to learn how to go do it. And those farm dams that they have access to are probably some of the best farm dams in the country. So there's big fish, there's a lot of fish, and they're all healthy. And from what I can remember, a lot of them are closed to the public 99% of the year. So that really is a treat weekend to go fish there.
We're going to chat to Stoff from Breda just now about the competition and what it's about and how do you go about to be part of that. So talking about that type of competition, farm dam type competition, let's just take the viewers through a typical day at a farm dam. How would Duncan Murfin approach it? How would you start?
I'd break it into my 3 periods. So early morning, like mid-morning, midday, and then your afternoon bite that you're going to be fishing. And most farm dams, most guys that are going to a farm dam don't have access to a watercraft. So you're going to be from the bank. And I'd probably say one of the key baits I'd start first, depending on season, but especially around now, is with a frog. And I'd fish it really right up on the bank. So I see there's a common misconception when you go bank angling is that you need to get in as deep or wade as far. And actually, most of the time, those fish that live in those ponds and those smaller farm dams, and the larger farm dams, they behave a little bit different. They'll behave like your big dams. But guys will fish right on top of the fish. So you literally want to stand 5 or 10 meters off the bank and cast right up on the edge, and you're going to catch a lot more fish like that, especially with a bait like a frog, something that you can cover water with.
Where were we that the fish chased the frog and actually jumped onto dry ground without being hooked?
So we've done a couple of those. So back in the day when Renostekop was still good, you could do it there. And then at Rustenwinter is another spot that I've seen that happen at. So yeah, a lot of those kind of farm dams. I know you guys fished a lot up north. Yeah. On that Kamati Port area. So there's always, it's the same kind of thing.
I've seen them. Okay, now, what do you have in terms of product that the guys can look at, and what are the difference between the frogs that you've got in front of you?
Okay, so there's actually two new frogs that have just come out from McCarthy baits, and the first one is the 4-inch McCroker, and then there's a 3.75. And I'd fish these two slightly different. So this you'd fish on your classic wide gap hook with 65-pound braid and a medium heavy to heavy action rod, or medium heavy power rod, I should say. And I would even go to fish these on a medium heavy, purely because if you're going to be burning them, you want that slower reaction. So to get a bite when they blow up.
What do you mean by burning them?
So you're just going to, the best way to reel a frog, in my opinion, is to cast it out, let it fall slightly. So 1 or 2 retrieves of the handle. As you're bringing it in, it will rise up out of the water. And then you keep a slack line. You don't put a taut line in it. And the reason you want a slack line just gives you a second of delay. When a fish comes up and they blow up and they eat it, you want to give them that second to eat the bait and then turn. And as they turn, you'll feel the pressure at the end of the line and then set the hook. So that's one of the basic, if it was for a retrieve. And then you'd fish this around any kind of cover, grass. You can fish it right up on the bank if there's rocky banks. A frog doesn't only imitate a frog. It imitates any kind of critter that's on the surface. Bait fish, if you use lighter colors with lighter bellies, they're bait fish related. And that's one of the first ones I'd go for. And then as that bite starts to slow down and you've caught a couple of fish, I'd alternate to a smaller frog. And this is where that new 3.75 comes in. And this is a great bait that I'd fish on fluoro, on a heavier fluorocarbon. And even if I fished it on braid, on a spinning setup on braid with a fluoro leader, and then fish it with a light Texas weight. So you can still keep this up on the surface, but when you're picking apart small pockets and holes, it's nice. You can just let it get down. And on a lot of farm dams, you're going to have a good frog populations. There'll either be platanas or any other natural frogs, and you're going to find that smaller bait just works slowly down.
In layman's terms, what does Texas rig mean?
So a Texas rig is simple. It is a bullet weight that you attach to your line. So you thread on the pointed side, up your line, attach your hook, and then just rig that up. So it's basically to create a sinking rig with a soft plastic.
So it's the little piece of lead is just going to sit on the head of whatever bait you're using.
That's correct. And you can have it free running, or you can peg it to the actual nose of the bait.
How do you peg it?
So you can use gummy stops. So if you guys are familiar with bobber stoppers or gummy stops, if you're using them for float fishing, you just thread up a stopper, then put on your weight, then tie on your hook, and then rig your bait, and then just slide the stopper down.
Okay, and then control where that weight sits.
Yeah.
When would you actually position the gummy stop further away, and why?
So that's very much dependent on the style of bait you're fishing. So the bulkier the bait, a lot of guys, if it's falling, so let's put it this way. If the bait's falling with a weight down, it's going to not drag the bait if it's pegged. It won't drag it down as fast. But if it's pegged, the whole bait and weight fall at the same time. So anything that has more action, so the rule of thumb is less action, you can have a running Texas rig or a sliding Texas rig. And then the more the action, where you actually need to generate action from a bait, from the tail or its pincers or anything, you want to peg it so that it falls a lot faster. And that's what triggers your strikes.
Okay. What type of tackle do I need for frog fishing? What do I need in terms of rod and reel and line?
So it depends. So for smaller frogs, I'm going to go for a spinning setup like the Dark Shadow. You want a spinning reel, especially for these that you fish it on braid. You need to make longer casts with it because it is lighter, where you might have a few challenges on casting equipment. And then if I'm moving into a larger frog, I would want a bait caster setup. So a 7'3" to 7'6" medium heavy to heavy power. And then I'm fishing straight braid, so 65.
Right onto the bait.
Yeah, so tie it directly onto your hook with a Palomar knot, and that's going to be something like that Boss braid or their super slick or their slick braid.
And then no No weight or anything onto it.
No weight at all.
Just
No,
weight.
and
But then it's a bigger frog as well, and you've got weight to cast.
yeah, you do. And braid is a lot more supple than you're going to get in your fluoros and your monos. And what I like about a braid specifically for frogging is that when you're fishing vegetation, it will cut through the vegetation when you do connect with the fish. So when you get a blow up, it's direct. You can set the hook without too much slack, and that will cut through the weed when you're fighting that.
Last question. When you have a frog bite, when do you strike?
So a lot of this is visual, so you'll watch the frog. My suggestion is always keep an eye on the bait and see what it's doing. Those fish, bigger fish come and suck it in very gently, and you might not always see it if you're far out. Smaller fish will destroy it, and sometimes a big fish will just destroy it as well. But the key is to feel tension on the line. So usually count to 1, or alternatively, if you're fishing with your rod tip up in like a 10 o'clock position, just drop your rod until you feel it pulling line, and then set the hook.
I remember that blow-ups and you just see the splash and you go, and there's nothing. So you've got to wait for that just a little bit so that they eat it properly.
That's right.
Okay, we are going to speak to Stoff van Breda. He's the main organizer that has got a lot on his plate at the moment, and he's telling us more about this marvelous, biggest, or from a participant point of view, bass competition. Let's hear what Stoff has to say. Well, tonight we are speaking to somebody else from, I can almost say down south from our side, but it's more like southeast, KwaZulu-Natal. We are speaking to Stoff van Breda from the Neo and Nova Prep School Bass Competition. Welcome, Stoff.
Thank you, Werner. Much appreciated.
Stoff, I see that this is quite a historic competition. It's the 18th time you're running it. And it says here, if I look at on 4Anglers on the news, it says, be part of the biggest bass fishing competition in the Southern Hemisphere. What is your claim to fame with respect to that?
Well, the claim to fame, Werner, is that over the years, we've always had a mark of 1,000 anglers. And we've managed over the past 4 events to get over 1,000 anglers. And that has given us that claim to fame. The most anglers on one day fishing these dams in our competition.
Now, how do you get 1,000 anglers to fish together?
Well, Werner, we're very lucky with this community. With all the dams that we have, we've got 20 dams that we're allowed to fish on the day, and all the anglers can choose throughout as many dams as they'd like to fish. They've got the whole day to fish, and that's how we sort of get to those numbers. We're very lucky with the farming community letting us use their dams.
Well, that's great. It says Neo and Nova Prep School. How does the school come into this, and what is the history of the event?
So the history of the event, it was started in 2004. A couple of parents got together around a braai fire, as we do in South Africa, and decided, we need to start a fundraiser. We need to help the school. Being a community school, we needed something to start up. Here it was. It started small, couple of dams, parents helping, couple of gazebos, and this has now grown into our 18th dam competition. Major event for us.
Well, that's great. And you being the head of the organizing committee, you must have quite a lot of people that's helping you in this.
Very much so. I must say, we are very blessed with a community that all bands together for our school, parents, the staff, like I say, the community. We all just jump on board, do our thing, and make it. We've been very successful in the past, and we look forward to this year's event.
Now, this is the 18th. Is it consecutive, or did COVID also hit this one a blow?
So COVID did give this one a blow last year. Unfortunately, we couldn't hold our 17th, and we were very lucky in 2020. that we could hold it in March because the very next evening, the president closed us with level 5, and we were able to hold it. So we were blessed that year.
Let's talk a little bit more about the dams. You say that there are 20 dams and they're all over the place. How far are they apart?
So you're looking at it about the furthest from, it would be about 25 minutes drive. So that's how far, sort of, if I call it from, we have the host dam, which is Torwoodley, and from there you're looking at dams 25 minutes out would be about the most, the longest to travel to.
Okay, that's great. Now, how do I, if I enter as an angler, do I get allocated a dam? You mentioned something about some choices, but where do I go and how does it work?
So what happens is you enter, you've got 20 dams to choose from. So you'll be on the website. When you enter, there's a dam index with a list of the 20 dams that you can use. And on that, with it in that dam index, it shows you what type of dam you can fish at. So if you'd like to use a boat and a sneaker motor, all the references are on the side of that list. So you've got shore angling, you can use a boat, but you can choose if you'd like to do all 20. You're going to do a lot of traveling, but it's up to the angler at the end of the day.
Can I come with my Crackleback 19?
No. It's specifically, we are only allowed a boat with a sneaker motor, no motorboats or anything like that.
Well, I think that's well done in terms of safety and accommodating everybody. Now,
Yes.
As a boat angler and a bank angler, do we compete against each other, or how does that work? And what are the categories?
So there are no categories in the sense of regarding boats, kick boats, canoes, anything like that. You've got the 20 dams. What you're going to have is overall first prize for a senior and overall first prize for a junior, and that is over all 20 dams. Longest bass caught for senior and junior. Okay, and then each dam also has a prize for that specific dam, longest bass caught at that specific dam.
The prize for the dam, can it be junior and seniors, or is that also split?
Correct, also junior and senior for each dam also.
In terms of these 20 dams, what's the type of bass size that are in these dams? What's the biggest that came out in the recent years?
Vanessa, over the years, we keep a record of every year what's caught. Well, when I say what's caught, the winning fish of each dam in that. And you're looking at close to 60 centimeters long. You're looking at around 5 kg. So there's some nice bass coming out over the years.
That's decent fish. I know Torwoodley myself, and I've fished there before, and there's some really decent sized bass in there.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky to have these.
To have all these different prizes, you must have quite a number of sponsors. So who are your sponsors and how many are there, and who are the major ones?
So, Benna, we have close to 40 sponsors. If I call it main sponsors, different categories, but our 4 main sponsors are UCL Company, Desi and Dalton Tractor Company combined. We have PMB PT Trimborn Agency, and we have Kaiser Bill. So those are the 4 main sponsors. And then below that, we have sponsors in certain categories, and all those sponsors go onto a T-shirt. And those T-shirts come with with the entry when you enter online and that.
Who gets a T-shirt? Is there a cap on the T-shirts?
There is a cap. We normally cap it at between 500 and 600. The first come, first serve. And so with your entry, you get a T-shirt and that with all the sponsors on. Yes.
Okay. Now I just want to peg something in terms of the biggest bass of the tournament in the senior category. What will that bass win?
So senior biggest bass, you'll win a tug boat. tug 10 boat with a sneaker motor and a hamper and a big, if I call it a trophy bass, mounted with a plaque and that. And then the junior prize overall, you win a Fluid Buddy a little fishing boat, if I call it a boat or a canoe, with a big bass mounted with a plaque and a hamper.
Great. Last question. If I bring my family along and I go fish, what is there to do for the family?
Well, first of all, we hope the whole family enters. That's first prize for us. But apart from that, there is lots to do. You know, we've got Torwoodley, which is the main dam where we'll have food and all of that. But other than that, it's just such a fun and family day that the family will want to follow you and see the countryside and fish and just enjoy being out in the Midlands, if I call it that, and being hosted by New Hanover Prep and the community.
Okay, so even if they don't fish, obviously there's a lot of spectating that can go on, so they can watch all the other anglers on the dam and so forth as well. Is that possible?
Very much so. All they do is you've got the map and they just go to any dam they'd like to and enjoy the day. Yes, spectators we welcome spectators. You know, it gives us an eye in the community for people to enjoy our community.
Okay, that's great stuff. So how do I enter?
So behind me, you've got all the info online. Other than that, you can go to 4anglers.co.za. You can read the article and also watch the video, which I did the other day, and enjoy. It's a wonderful video that was made by the school.
Okay, great. Now the last thing is you're also giving away 2 complimentary tickets for 2 lucky anglers that can win it by answering a question or 2 on the on this program.
Yes.
I think it is important though that they should be at least willing to travel to KZN and all be from that area.
Yes, very much so. I mean, you know, the complimentary tickets, they're out there, and we're just really looking forward to having as many people and just come and join us for a lovely day out.
Okay, thank you very much, Stoff, and good luck for your competition. We hope that you're going to have, no, we don't hope, we know that you're going to have more than 1,000 anglers again. How's the entries going at the moment?
Entries, we're over a third already. The entries are coming in. The excitement sort of picks up closer and closer to the time, but we full steam ahead with all the organizing, and we cannot wait.
Well, then there's about a month left. The 12th of March is the date that the competition is on. Make sure you enter, make sure you go there, claim your t-shirt if you're going to be amongst the first 500, and go and catch a big bass, take your family along and win big prizes. Thank you for talking to us tonight, Stoff.
Thank you very much, Bernard. Keep well.
Well, that's it. If you want to be part of that, go to that link, go support them. It's for a good cause. It's a nice family event. You can take your kids there, and there are many dams. I almost told you how many dams, but I can't, because that McCarthy hamper. Just tell us what is in the hamper, Duncan.
So we've got 5 baits. We've got the new 4-inch McCroker, the 3.75, a 4.5-inch tiddler, a 6-inch McRinger, and then a larger grub style bait, which is the gambit in the 6-inch in that hamper. And it also includes a pack of hooks.
Two packets of hooks, 1 wide gape and
1 straight.
1 straight. Yeah. Okay, so that's the hamper. We've got 2 of those hampers, one this week and the other one next week. So you've got to be back next week to win it as well, if you want to. You have to answer the question. This is for YouTube only. So if you are on Facebook and not on YouTube, jump onto YouTube quickly, because you need to answer the following question. When we spoke to Stoff, he explained to us about the many dams that they have that is on that index list. I want to know, how many dams can you fish in that Neo and Over competition? How many dams? First 10 correct answers will go through to the wheel. Okay, so I would like to thank Bola and Koliki Feed for making the next insert possible. Okay, Duncan, so now we are done with the frogs. The frog bite is over, and you've caught a nice 3 kilo or 2. And you've gone smaller, and now it starts fading out. What happens next at a farm dam?
So depending on the size of the dam and how much ground you've covered, you'll find that the areas won't reload very quickly. You won't be catching the same fish over and over. Perhaps you have to wait for a window and fish in the afternoon. And right now, if I was to go, there's one bait that I'd throw, and that's this 4.5-inch tiddler. And it's an in-between size. It's not the same size as a junior fluke, and it's not the same size as a 5-inch, which is nice. It makes it quite versatile. You can cast it, and what I like about it is it's still got that aggressive action. So you can work it quite aggressively. You'll find that purely because bass are sight-oriented predators, they're going to just move to the next level and the first drop-off or the first weed line edge. And you can still finesse a couple of fish, especially if you're throwing lighter line fluoro leaders that 10 to 12 pound, you'll get away with comfortably with these, and like fishing them on a 2-0 hook. And then there's 2 ways I'd fish them. I'd look for any pockets or edges, and you can use a very slow lift and pull retrieve.
Using what tackle?
So if I was throwing the smaller one, I'd throw a spinning rod, same spinning setup. That all-rounder will do the job, but I would spool it with 20-pound finesse braid, that boss braid, and then I'd put on a 8 or a 10-pound fluoro leader, and then fish that.
That 20-pound boss, what is the diameter of that line? How far can you cast?
I would have to check for you on that, but it's a really low diameter. I think it's probably like, I hazard a guess, the equivalent of like 6-pound mono.
Oh, so it's like 0.15, 17 or something like that. So you can really cast it.
Yeah. You're going to get the long distance casts with a weightless bait. And probably one of the best ways, if you have fished an area and it's quite pressured, fishing further away from the fish and with lighter leaders and smaller baits, you'll still be able to coax a couple of bites. They don't all stop feeding at the same time.
What are the features that I need to go look for that specific bait, for the tiddler? If I walk around the dam, or I need to say, okay, I want to change, go to a different dam or something, what type of features would I look for?
Okay, so anywhere you're going to find bait fish habitat. So exactly the same. You can fish it around lilies. You can fish it around that broadleaf pondweed. You can still fish it around rock because it's a great weightless bait. It will eventually get down. When it is rigged, it swims on its own. It's got a flutter. If you rig it and pair the hook and your bait size correctly, you can get it to flutter on a slack line. And that's part of the key. It's a very natural presentation. Mm-hmm. So now I'd look relatively up shallow, that 3 to 6 foot range. So if you're wading in and it's going to get to your waist deep, you can still target all of those fish. And then look for pockets in the weed. Most of our dams, our farm dams, barring a few, aren't going to have long rock walls. They're all going to be dug earthen dams. So you're going to have a perimeter that's got shallow grass. And you just fish on
pockets in there.
Yes, and then fish on the outside edge, yeah.
And so you'd cast it over and pull it into the pocket, let it go down, and it will flutter. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah.
What hook would I put on or rig that bait with?
So I would go for a 2-0 or a
What
2
type of hook?
wide gap worm hook, which these are your wide gap worm hooks. So this is all personal preference. Previously, there was a big trend to straight shank hooks, and the previous generation, before you could actually get hold of wide gaps before they were invented, and that's going to be, this isn't the right match in terms of hook profile. It's a bit big, but that's how you would.
Yeah, can you rig it for us? This camera is going to be the one.
Sure, I'll rig it up for you. So this hook's going to be a bit big, better suited to a 5-inch bait. So rig it through, simple, you just turn your hook point away. So now that you've got your shank and the bend facing upwards, and it's an easy way just to measure it, you just pinch between. Most of these baits like this have a belly slot. So you push it through and bend at the same time. And if you get it right, it's a straight. This one is a bit big. But that's how your bait would be. But you never want your hook to overpower the bait.
And then you also, to make it weedless, make sure that hook point
hook it,
is buried
on the back. And the reason hook size is not generally, sometimes it's going to affect the action of the bait, but if you're fishing on lighter gear, you want to go for a lighter wire hook as possible. And that's purely because your hook setting power is diminished by the action of the rod. And you also don't want to snap off lighter lines. So the thinner the actual gauge of the wire they use for the hook, the easier it is to fish it on lighter line.
This one we're going to use later in the day. Is that right? So we're going to talk in the next insert about this.
Sure.
But this is quite an interesting color with all these little, I don't know, flashes inside. What is this color called?
So that color is called flash.
Oh, because it's so flashy.
Yeah, and it's got a bit of purple mixed in with gold and silver flakes.
See these flakes, yeah, and they're quite shiny. So I can believe when it's actually moving, you can get, it looks like scales.
Exactly, and then that blue flake that's in there, that bluish purple tinge, is how fish actually show up. If you see any baitfish scales have that natural iridescent blue to them. So.
Okay, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. What is that big bait called?
That's the gambit. There's a smaller one as well.
The gambit.
Gambit.
Okay. So last thing about that, we are going to give away or ask the question for that rod now. So maybe if you just want to go through the setup that you have there on the Dark Shadow.
So the Dark Shadow is a great all-round combo, and it comes with a pretty solid 5-bearing reel, and it's in that 2,000, roughly 2,000 size spool. So you can get away with fishing.
Not price.
No. You can get away with fishing quite a variation of line. For guys that like to fish braid, you can throw braid with a leader. If you like to fish straight mono, it's also an option. And if you want to just fish straight braid without a leader for your frogs as an option, that's also there. So it's got a lot of cranking power.
I see that it's also got quite a smooth, the ridge around here. It will really help you with casting.
Yeah.
The smooth spool ridge.
And it's a nice finished off rod. Solid
nice grip, eh?
Solid backbone, and it comes with a rubberized grip with an EVA combo, so it's really comfortable to fish. And
they've done something interesting on the cosmetics here. They've put scales on the grip.
Yes.
I don't know whether it has to do with what you're catching or whether it actually has to do with the grip. But with this specific rubber, it can be quite wet as well and still have good grip.
But a very versatile bass combo. So you're going to get away with fishing some of the lighter end gear on it. And you can even fish, you can double. If you were going to throw a spinnerbait or a frog or any of those baits, your top waters, all that kind of thing.
So going to the farm dams, you can basically just have that rod and fish almost everything.
If you're going to take just one, that would be one that I want to go for. That's 7-foot medium heavy.
Okay, we're going to give that one away. The question is, now this is for our Facebook viewers. Wat's die vraag? Die vraag is, wat se kleur is hierdie op die gambit, nee?
That's correct.
On the gambit, this color that we've just discussed, what is it called? First 10 answers. Your name will be in the wheel. Okay, so that's it. Next insert, we are going to talk about the very last section and what happens in the afternoon at a farm dam. But first, I would like to say thank you to Safari Outdoor. Something interesting, Safari Outdoor at all 3 their branches this week, this coming Saturday, is having an open day. You can go there and go chat to some of the experts. All 3 their branches in Pretoria, Randburg and nou kan ek nie onthou waar die laaste een nie. If you look in the guidelines, you'll see the ad. There will be experts, so come and meet the experts. There will be brand ambassadors, there will be open day, there will be worsrolletjies en braaibroodjies en allerhande interessante goed. So go to Safari Outdoor Centers and go and speak to some of the experts. What is the color is the question, and who sponsors this next insert? It is Safari Outdoor Center. Okay, now we have had lunch and we caught a few fish and we went back to base camp and we had some wortelletjies and now it's the afternoon bite. What are we doing and to which dam am I going?
Okay, so it depends which dam you're headed to. If you're talking about competition dams for the New Hanover, my strategy is I'd head to the furthest dams away and get there first. So catch those fish earlier, and as the day progresses, you're going to go. I think that bite window is early morning, late afternoon, and if I'm correct, the comp closes before you reach that afternoon. So we are going to go look for those bigger fish. Typically at those weedy dams, most of those dams are filled with lily pads and any other kind of vegetation. I'd do one of 2 things. I'd throw a smaller bait. So when I mean a smaller bait, this is that McCarthy McRinger. It is a 6-inch bait, but it's got a much smaller profile on a mojo rig, and fish it on those deeper edges anywhere you can see transition. So visually, you'll be able to see where you can't see the edge of weed is where you want to target from a banking perspective. And then if you are fishing around any of that cover and maybe you're on a boat or you have access to a float tube, I would go for a pitching bait. So something that I can cast into the holes and get it done quickly. And because those fish, those bigger fish, if you're looking at those tournament winning fish per se, and even your PB fish, those 2 kilo plus fish, will relate to the shade created by any of that cover. So you can literally go and pick all of it apart, and then I just go for a heavier weight, anything from 3/8 ounce on these. And you could probably, with the smaller one, you could go for like even a quarter on the McRinger and pitch them around cover.
As Stoff said, each dam, the biggest fish at each dam will also win a prize.
Yes, yes, yes.
So yes, the dams will compete against each other, and the biggest was like 5 kilos and things like that. So there's a really big fish for the overall prize. But every dam will have his own biggest fish.
Sure.
Now, in terms of what do you call that one again? This one?
That's the McRinger.
McRinger.
You actually need to break the tail.
Now that was my question, and I wanted to show it because it comes like this, with its tail attached there from the mold, and the question is, what do I do with that? And let Duncan show me what to do with that.
This is just really great for quality control, to keep that tail straight every time. Even when they pack them, you'll notice when they pack these with care, you'll see each one is packed straight, which is really great when you take them out of the package. But just pull off that tab, and then there you go. So you've got all this tail action now. If you don't pull it open, it's going to have absolutely no action.
Yeah, it's just going to flap like that. So this is a little piece of plastic that you have to take out on both sides. It doesn't belong there. It's not part of the bait. It is just for keeping it intact during the packaging. Okay, so let's just talk environmental conditions as we go along the day. How do I adjust for overcast, windy, or sunny conditions?
Okay, so let's do sunny, which is probably the easiest. Sunny conditions, as I mentioned, those fish will just want to move deeper. So you're just going to want to, if you were catching them in 3 foot, start fishing in that 6 to 10 foot zone. A lot of times bait won't be that much different. And you'll, on a wind still day, you don't want anything with too much action, unless you're throwing a frog. That would be one of the few times. And then if there is a bit of color to the water, so you're going to want to go for baits with more vibration and darker colors. So, and then go to the opposite spectrum on wire baits like your spinner baits. You want something that's got a flashy blade. You want a Colorado leaf or Colorado blade, which is almost like a teardrop shaped blade on your spinner bait. And then your brighter colors, so your whites, your chartreuse, all of that kind of thing. And your plastics all darker, much vibration, much noise.
Why is darker baits important in dirtier water?
So it's just about profile. It's profile and action are the two things. So action is going to attract them, so they're going to zone in with their lateral line. So bass has a lateral line that they sense from. And then when they actually get close enough, their eyesight kicks in. And that's when you want a profile instead of a color. So if you think about your black baits, anything like this is going to create a profile versus actually being a color. It's a solid, where we haven't got any two-tone baits here, but a lot of those in clear water are actually a color. If you had to fish this, it would appear as a profile in dirty water. So, and don't discredit it. If they were eating a specific color before the dam level changed color recently, they'll still be eating that color most likely. Even at places like the Vole Dam that's dirty, they prefer lighter colors over dark, although the bass theory says otherwise.
Okay, so let's say the clouds move in and the wind picks up and there's a storm brewing. What am I throwing?
So I want something that's moving with a lot of action. So I'd go for a tiddler style bait. I'd go for a spinner bait. If there wasn't grass, you can throw a crankbait. And then with that wind pushing in, I'd want to fish the most wind-blown banks. Often they'll create wash. Bait fish will move into feed, and then bass will follow. And then
so on the side where it's the most difficult to cast, that's where you want to be.
Yeah. And something that's just got a constant vibration to it for them to key in on. That's probably the easiest way to explain it.
Good. Duncan Murfin, the guy with the most bass fishing knowledge that I know. So, thank you for sharing that. Let's have a look at how you get to the water. So here's a very nice pick of the week from Gijspitzer Motor. One that you can actually load your family in, go down to the bass dams and patrol every single dam, have a cooler box and everything on the back. Let's have a look at this marvelous vehicle.
Welkom by Gijspitzer Motors. Vandag gaan ek julle my pick of the week wys. 2019 2.4 double cab 4x4 manual, Hilux bakkie, nuwe takkies op, tralies agterop met die RS rolbaar, baie mooi nuwe neus. Die ideale bakkie as jy nou wil vandag.
Welcome to Gijspitzer Motors. Come visit us.
Baie dankie Gijspitser Motors dat julle altyd aan ons sy is, ons by die water uitkry. Daar's nou vir jou 'n lekker bakkie. Laai almal agterop en maak seker jy kom in KwaZulu-Natal by New Hanover, Thorwoodley uit. Daai lekker kompetisie, meer as 1000 mense, baie pryse. Laai almal agterop saam met 'n koeleboks en besoek elke liewe dag. Nou ja, daar's gou so 'n paar vragies wat ons moet antwoord. Die eerste een is, die mense wil weet wanneer is die Bloemhof Bonanza. Bernard sê vir my, daar is 'n groot aankondiging wat kom hierdie week, maar daardie naweek, die einde van April, eerste naweek in Mei maand moet jy reserveer. Skryf dit neer in jou dagboek en maak seker al jou ander afsprake is gekanselleer. So die aankondiging kom hierdie week. Dan was daar 'n vraag oor die boulyn voer. Ek weet nie presies wat is die antwoord nie oor die unieke reuk. Toe ons daar gesit het en ons het die voer so uitgehaal, was die unieke reuk weer eens daar. So ek het al agtergekom dat as die boulyn voer dalk op 'n plek in jou garage lê of 'n plek waar dit baie sonnig is en jy son hierop skyn, onthou die plastiek is darm so 'n bietjie poreus en dit lê bietjie lank, kan dit wees dat daai reuk weggaan. So maak seker jy het vars voer. Ek weet hulle lewer gereeld vars af, so ek dink dit gaan oor die varsheid. Want toe ons dit daar gesit en uit die sak uit gehaal het, was daai reuk weer daar. En dan was daar 'n vraagie oor die gysie. Ons het die 2 gysies hier, kom ek wys gou vir julle. Daar's koppetjie emmer. Ons het hulle nog steeds 2 van hulle wat ons moet weggee. En ons het gevra vir interessante video's saam met jou Valentine by die water. En ek dink baie mense wil hulle wen en baie mense wil graag so een hê, maar ek dink die mense is skaam om hulle video's te stuur. So ons het nou ook gevra dat julle die video's moet stuur. So wat ons gaan doen met hierdie, al die video's wat volgende week inkom, saam met die paar wat ons gekry het, ons kan dit nie weggee vir 1 of 2 nie. So daar's nie genoeg nie. So stuur vir ons jou video's en dan gee ons volgende week ons hierdie weg. As daar nie genoeg is met Valentines by die waters nie, dan gaan ons 'n vraagie vra op die program volgende week en dan gee ons hulle weg. Ok, dan is dit nou tyd dat ons hierdie week se goed weggee. So die eerste ene. Watter 3 verskillende soorte boulyn kolletjie is daar? Daar's natuurlik gewoon, feeder en match. Daai match wat lyk soos custardpoeier. En daar is 10 name van die eerste ene is Facebook sinne. Is dit reg? Ek bevestig. Ok, so hierdie is die manne of manninne wat op Facebook ingeskryf het. En ons gee 'n wenner hierso, wat jy kry 'n pak gewoon, 'n pak feeder en 'n pak match. En ons gaan spin. Duncan gaan vir ons die wenner lees. Hy gaan lekker groot opkom op die skerm as hy stop.
Sien julle.
Samuel Amonay Ludik. Ek neem aan dit is julle 2. So julle het 3 pakke, 1 vir elk en die middelste ene gaan julle oorbeklei. Good, then the next one is from the YouTube channel. Everybody that entered there, and I can see that there's people that visits both. So, kom ons gooi hom daar en ons spin.
No, that's Lawrence Lowe.
Lawrence Lowe, baie geluk, jy is die wenner. Nou sal julle albei julle wenners nou seker maak. Jessica het julle besonderhede, want ons moet hierdie oudjies vir julle stuur. Dit word afgelewer by jou huis of plek waar jy wil hê dit moet afgelewer word met die komplimente van JKJ Express Couriers. JKJ for the last number of years have been our delivering partner. They have couriered prizes all over the country to our lucky viewers or lucky winners. So if you need a parcel to be sent somewhere, remember JKJ Express. Goed, die volgende ene. Dit is daai McCarthy Baits, 'n lekker pakkie van 5 verskillende ase in 'n klomp verskillende kleure en 2 pakkies hoekies. Hierdie pakkie is joune vir daardie een van daardie gelukkige wenners. Hierdie ene het op YouTube gehardloop. The question was, how many dams can you fish at during the New Hanover competition? The answer was 20. Here are the correct answers, and let's spin.
Which is the song? Henry Schnettler.
Yeah, Henry Schnettler, congratulations. You have won yourself a hamper of McCarthy baits. So I trust that you are going to that competition. There's something else that I'm going to tell you about just now. The next one. Now, this is the big prize. This is the big prize. The dark shadow. The question was, what is the flashy color of the, what do you call it? The gobbler?
Gambit.
Gambit. The gambit. So the gambit has got a flashy color. What was the color's correct name?
It's called Flash.
Okay, so everybody that is in this wheel has had a flashy answer. Let's get it running.
Corney Bosseman is the lucky winner.
Corney is ook 'n man wat hy's 'n Four Anglers lid. Ons sien hom gereeld langs die water. Hy's ook 'n ou wat daarvan hou om die langlyne te gooi en spesie te hengel. So jy het iets om jouself mee besig te hou. Afgelewer met die komplimente van JKJ Express en gelewer aan jou met die komplimente van Sensation. Baie dankie. Thank you Sensation. Thank you Duncan for that. Now there's one thing left. Now New Hanover has also given us 2 complimentary tickets or entries. Now, what do you have to do? Firstly, you have to either be willing to travel down to KwaZulu-Natal for that competition, or you need to be resident in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, I'm not going to give that away as a live now. I'm going to give you a week to send us your personal best or beautiful bass picture. So send us your bass picture with a short little story. Even a video if you want, you can upload that or we transfer it and send the link to video@4anglers.co.za, which we will then share on our platforms. And out of all the entries, please make sure you deliberately say that you are available and want to go down. So send us your picture of your bass. If you have entered a previous, one of the previous Hanover bass competitions, send us a picture from that. Let's see how many bass pictures and little stories we can get. Send it in next week, Tuesday. We will then draw from all those entrants. We will draw 2 lucky winners that will receive a complimentary ticket or entry into that competition. Well, I think that is it. Any last pieces of advice for a bass angler that just started, Duncan?
It just started. I would say time on the water. Make sure that when you visit the retailers, ask them what are the colors that work for your area. You can't go wrong with, there's 3 colors that I'd say should be in every single angler's bag, and that's going to be something watermelon, something green pumpkin, which is brown, or something purple or black, which is dark. So that would be my base advice. And go out there and fish early morning and late afternoon. If you're not sure if a dam has bass in it, or you want to make sure that you catch better quality fish or numbers, go early or go in those feeding times in the afternoon. Those are probably my basics I'd give to any bass angler starting out.
Well, that's it. That's all that we have time for tonight. The only thing that is left is a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Boland Koliki, Chris Boylan, for giving us a couple of hampers. Some of them we're going to give away next week as well. Thank you to Sensation that made this possible and sponsoring us a couple of prizes. Thank you to Gijs Spitzer and Orion Audio Visual that made this program possible, and obviously then to our insert sponsors. Then the last thing is a very special thank you to Duncan Murfin. Not many people has a For Anglers Live stainless steel flask.
Thank you.
So that's yours.
Thank you very much.
So when you go out bassing early in the mornings on those rubber ducks, there's something.
All out on the big boat, yeah.
That's right. Okay, well, that's it. We see you next week, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, same place. Cheers.